Hey all, Alex here at your home of the Music Deep Dive, and today we'll be doing a review of the novel by Anne Brontë, published the 14th of December 1847, Agnes Grey. Anne Brontë, born the 17th of January 1820 in Thornton, West Yorkshire, died the 28th of May 1849 in Scarborough, North Riding of Yorkshire. The youngest of the Brontë siblings, Anne lost her mother when she was just a year old, and she would become close with her aunt afterwards, staying with her while her elder siblings went off to boarding school. After her own turn at boarding school, she became a governess, working for a couple of different families and dealing with both fairly positive and extremely negative experiences with the members of said families. When her brother Branwell began an active relationship with the matron of one of the households she worked at, Anne resigned and went to live with her family, at which point she would bury herself in her writing. Agnes Grey is the first novel that Anne wrote, reportedly the first novel that any of the Brontë sisters wrote, and in a lot of ways it seems to stem from the sense of reflection that Anne undoubtedly had when she decided to quit her last position as a governess. This is an incredibly autobiographical novel. A lot of themes can be found in Anne's diary entries from this period as well, and some of the interactions, particularly those between Agnes and the children she's attempting to teach, are taken wholesale, sometimes verbatim, from Anne's own experiences. This comes through in the frustrations of our main character, who is clearly driven to her wit's end by these people and yet pushes forward to help and try to make a breakthrough because she's just so fundamentally decent as a person. And decency is really the name of the game here. I think every aspect of this novel is decent, and very few elements go much beyond that. Comparing this to Jane Eyre is maybe a little bit unfair. Charlotte was Anne's elder by a few years, and it seems like she was already a much more experienced writer at that point. But at least in Jane Eyre, the personal elements, the areas where the author is injecting a bit of herself into the main character, are somewhat reserved and not annoyingly obvious. With this novel, I think the desire to reflect true events actively works to its disadvantage. It is not operating on an especially creative level, even if it's competent in a lot of ways. Agnes Grey herself is not a very interesting protagonist. She faces hardships throughout the course of the book, but it doesn't seem like she grows very much from those hardships. Her character arc is pretty stagnant. I was also pretty apathetic to the romance angle in here. This character of Edward Weston hardly really made a mark on me, and really does not move Agnes's character arc in a meaningful way either. It all feels a bit too obviously idealized, playing a bit too much into, dare I say it, this 1840s fanfic type of an idea where it's not well developed at all, but we still just want these characters to be together because that is what makes us, the reader, and perhaps the author as well, feel good. The strength of this book is in its language. Anne is a very good prose stylist, and I think her descriptions of settings are quite nice. And I do appreciate that this book talks about social classes and sort of tensions or disparities between them, especially in the sections where Agnes is working as a governess actively and interacting with the parents. I think those scenes illustrate those distinctions very well. But all of the genuinely good or great stuff feels like outer shell material. It's a beautiful casing for a product that doesn't have a whole lot going for it, not really a whole lot of substance in this work. I wouldn't say this novel dragged because it's pretty damn short, but I think the brevity leads to the feelings of insignificance being heightened. Jane Eyre felt like a very important and meaningful work, and even if you don't want to use the word generic to describe Agnes Grey, this really does feel like a first try at a novel and like it's groundwork for something better, hopefully, to come down the road. I don't have a whole lot else to say. I suppose if more conservative 19th century English settings and themes are your thing, you will probably like this, and I think the actual words being put on the page can be quite lovely, but this is not essential reading by any means, I don't think. We will still discuss Anne's second novel, The Tenant of Wildfell Hall, so be on the lookout for that. As for her first novel, I wouldn't prioritize giving this one a read. And that's it. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. As always, more reviews are to come. Tell a friend as well. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time right here at your home of the Music Deep Dive.